What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, talking today about the top 5 most disappointing games of 2014. Now I'd like to say not all these games are even that bad, they're just games that had a whole lot of hype and when they came out they were mediocre at best. Number 5. Watch Dogs. This game, while being hyped, looked amazing. We saw new fire effects, cool driving mechanics, the ability to hack anything. When Watch Dogs was announced, everybody kept saying true next-gen gaming. This game was going to redefine the new consoles. It was going to finally show us why we bought a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One. And instead what we got was kind of a washed-out mess. In the trailers, in the box art, on the posters, it always said, hack anything, the world is your weapon. But you know what? It wasn't. Instead, you could hack a couple cameras here and there, you could kind of make a barrier appear, but really, it was pretty much just a Grand Theft Auto clone. And that was so disappointing to me. Whereas even in Grand Theft Auto, the characters look like they're having so much fun, Aiden Pierce looked so bored and sounded so bored all the time. You could literally get the ability to shoot confetti out of your fingertips and he'd be like, yeah, but what are we going to do with all that paper? Aiden Pierce was an awful protagonist who was so sad he sounded like cell phone Batman. Number 4. Halo the Master Chief Collection. This game was hyped as going to be the must-have game for the Xbox One this holiday season, but instead what we got was a pretty broken mess. They had to scramble. The day it came out, all multiplayer completely crashed. If you were able to get a game, it would be 20 or 30 minutes in queue to even get a single 10-minute match. The single player was glitchy as well. Save files were corrupting, sometimes checkpoints wouldn't load at all, textures wouldn't even pop in. What we got with Master Chief Collection was a half-built mess. It's probably going to be corrected months down the line, but unfortunately at launch it was a major disappointment for millions of fans. This was not what we were expecting. Microsoft up to this point had really taken care of the Master Chief series. To see them push out this half-finished product made us realize that Microsoft doesn't love Master Chief anymore, that now it's just a dollar bill. It's Dollar Chief to them. Number 3. Assassin's Creed Unity. This title upon launch was glitchy as hell as well, and unfortunately, even when they patched it, it still wasn't that good of a game. Originally, the glitches made it where you could fall through the world, or targets wouldn't die when they were supposed to. Faces weren't loading, so you just have floating eyes and teeth chattering in the air. And once it was all patched and we had the final working versions of Assassin's Creed Unity, we realized at the core, it still wasn't very good. After all the cool, vast ocean battles we had in Assassin's Creed 4, the big, rolling plot of Assassin's Creed 4 that, while controversial from the rest of the series, was very strong, to all of a sudden be brought back to the depths of the mainland, to be fighting in a very enclosed version of Paris, to stumble through building after building trying to hunt targets in a game that didn't really even have much of a point, was a massive letdown. I had several fans talk to me on Twitter about how this was actually the first Assassin's Creed game they ever played, that they finally wanted to try out the series, and when they picked it up, they were incredibly disappointed and will probably put the Assassin's Creed series down forever. Arno just wasn't that fun of a character, the antagonists weren't that fun, and the real-life levels were absolutely awful. This was an Assassin's Creed that was clearly showing its wear. Number 2. Destiny. Now, Destiny was a very interesting problem, because the gameplay was phenomenal. The guns felt fun to fire, the combat was all pretty balanced, but at the end of the day, there was no drive to play. There was no real storyline at all. They just put a big orb in the sky and said, hey, that thing's either good or it's bad. What the fuck do you care? Shoot those things, they have more arms than you have. The game was so hollow, and really, it didn't have any motivation to keep playing. All weapons were dropped randomly throughout the game, so it actually created this horrible problem. Most people enjoy playing a game so you can get better and get better gear and keep playing. They call it the gear treadmill. That's how many games work. Congratulations, you played a certain amount of time with this gun, you get an upgraded version of this gun. Congratulations, you fought a certain amount of these enemies, your sword gets better. Destiny decided to do away with that completely and instead just have a flat drop rate. Doing any activity had an equivalent chance to lead some of the best gear in the game. That meant if you were playing multiplayer and you did your best game ever, you killed the entire enemy team yourself, capped the winning flag, you had just as much of a chance as getting good gear as the person who did terrible. There were videos people were posting online in an absolute rage when this came out, of times when they would do amazing in a raid or do amazing in a multiplayer match, and the person who did the worst would get the best items. Then, once you received these items, it would say purple, legendary, amazing item, and you went to a person who would identify it. Then, a second chance would happen, a second dice roll. This dice roll would determine whether or not it was actually a legendary or if it was worse. There were times when people would find the best items, artifacts, the best weapons in the game, weapons that made you feel powerful just reloading them. But you could go to the identifier, and instead, he would tell you that it was a worthless green, the worst, lowest class of item. This enraged players so much. The Cryptarch was so hated, people made a Twitter for him just to mock people. The game was so broken it needed patch after patch, and now we're getting all the DLC slowly being treaded out to us, and people are still not very happy with it. I myself wrote several videos trying to dig into the plot, what little traces we had, and overall, it was just so flat. I think Destiny 2 will be a lot better, hopefully, whenever it comes out in 5 or 6 years, but Destiny 1 was one of my top disappointments. Number 1. Elder Scrolls Online. When this came out, we were all so excited. The beta testers were leaking evidence that it wasn't going to be very good, but many people jumped on board anyways, and what we got was possibly the worst MMO ever made. Upon release, we discovered that Elder Scrolls Online was just a shitty half-built MMO. The quests were boring, the items sucked, everything about it just felt like it was lacking that true Elder Scrolls feel. Wandering around Tamriel had never been more boring. Multiplayer sieges almost didn't even have a point. The whole game just felt so lacking, like they just tried to really get it out there and work on it again later. There was a humongous controversy because when this game was actually being announced, you could pre-order and get a special class that nobody else could get. That's right, an entire portion of the game was going to be locked out for the years that it would exist if you did not buy it before it came out. Now, this angered people a lot. I mean, think about World of Warcraft. Imagine if you could have never been a warrior in World of Warcraft if you hadn't pre-ordered it in the summer of 2004. That would be an incredible, colossal fuck you to the fans. And that's really what this game felt like at the end of the day. A colossal fuck you to all the fans of Morrowind, Oblivion, Daggerfall, and Skyrim. This was not the game we were expecting, and I don't think it's the game we deserve. Well, guys, this has been my top 5 most disappointing games of 2014. If you liked it, subscribe and share it with your friends. I'm going to be doing my top 5 picks of best games next Saturday, so stay tuned for that. But as always, keep gaming, keep reading, and keep dreaming. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, maybe check out my last video. Please subscribe, and if you want, share this somewhere with your friends.